Hello students, now we are going to start the third lecture of our chapter, that is improvement in food resources. Now in this lecture we are going to talk about various other topics, and the very first topic that we are going to talk about is organic farming. Now what is organic farming? Now organic farming is the farming system. Organic farming is the farming system in which in which chemical fertilizers in which chemical fertilizers, herbicides or pesticides, herbicides or pesticides are minimally used, are minimally used or not used at all, or not used at all. Instead of manures recycled from instead manures manures, recycled farm waste, recycled farm waste and biofertilizers are used, and biofertilizers are used in place of chemical fertilizers, in place of chemical fertilizers, in place of chemical fertilizers. Neem leaves or turmeric are used, or turmeric are used as biopesticides, as biopesticides specifically in case of stored food grains, in case of stored food grains. Now why does organic farming is done? Because organic farming is done because it decreases the contamination of water, because it decreases uh, the main point that organic farming is done, that it decreases the contamination of water, it decreases the contamination of water. Now organic farming is a method in which manure is used or biofertilizers are used instead of chemical fertilizers, and neem leaves or turmeric are used as biopesticides. Neem leaves and turmeric are used as biopesticides. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is advantages of organic farming. Now, what are the advantages? we done organic farming, we have done organic farming because they may definitely have some advantages. Now we are going to talk about that the very first advantage is natural ecosystem is not disturbed. Natural ecosystem is not disturbed or as organic farming is in harmony, as organic farming is in harmony natural ecosystem is not disturbed because organic farming is in harmony with natural ecosystem, with natural ecosystem. Now the next point and the next advantage of organic farming is that soil fertility is preserved, that soil fertility is preserved. The third point is that harmful effects of chemicals on the living organisms are avoided. On the living organisms are avoided. Harmful effects of chemicals on the living organisms are avoided. And the fourth point is that pollution or contamination of air, water, and soil, pollution of air, water, and soil does not take place. Does not take place. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is irrigation. Now, we all know that irrigation is a very important area of crop production. Now, what is irrigation? Irrigation is the process of supplying water to crop plants. It is the process of supplying water to crop plants growing in the fields by the means of growing in the fields growing in the fields by the means of by the means of reservoirs, canals, wells, etc. And this is known as irrigation. Now, water requirements or irrigation of crop plants can be done on two factors. Now, the very first factor is crop-based irrigation. The very first is crop-based irrigation. Now, how crop-based irrigation is done? It is done water requirement of different crops, water requirement of different crops of different crops varies at different stages of their growth. At different stages of their growth. At different stages of their growth and maturation maturation. Example, paddy crop is transplanted in standing water. Paddy crop is paddy crop is transplanted in standing water. In standing water and also requires continuous water supply. And it also requires continuous water supply. It also requires continuous water supply. Now, the next, but this is not so for wheat, gram, and maize crops. Now, the second type of irrigation is soil-based irrigation. Now, the second type of irrigation is soil-based irrigation. And in soil-based irrigation, we give the water on the basis of what is the type of soil. Irrigation also depends on irrigation also depends on the nature of the soil. Irrigation also depends on the nature of soil in which crop is grown, in which crop is grown. Example, if two wheat crops are grown together, if two wheat crops are grown together, if two wheat crops are grown together and the one in sandy and another in deep clay soil, the one is in sandy and another in clay soil, then in sandy more frequent irrigation is needed. Then in sandy more frequent irrigation, more frequent irrigation is needed than in clay soil. Than in clay soil. Now, the next topic is irrigation systems. Now, what are the irrigation systems? There are various types of irrigation systems. The very first one is canal systems. Canal systems. And in canal systems, Canals usually receive water. Canals usually receive water from rivers from rivers and and an elaborate extensive network of irrigation system. Extensive network extensive network of irrigation systems. Canal branch, and that is called as canal branch, and the other one is called as canal field channels, and the other one is called as canal field channels. And they irrigate individual fields or a group of fields. They irrigate individual fields or a group of fields. Now the second one is tanks. Irrigation is also done with the help of tanks. Now it is an irrigation system only. So in tanks are usually small water storage. Tanks are usually small water storage reservoir. They are usually small water storage reservoir constructed at higher elevations in hilly areas. Constructed at higher elevations in hilly areas. They are constructed at higher elevations in hilly areas, and they intercept and store the runoff water. They intercept they intercept and store the runoff water and store the runoff water of small catchment areas of small catchment areas. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is wells. Now, what are wells? Wells are dug, and we have all seen wells. So, wells are dug and constructed. Wells are dug and constructed wherever groundwater is exploitable. Wherever groundwater is exploitable. And wells are of two types. The very first is dug well. The very first one are dug wells. And in dug wells, in this water is collected from water bearing strata. Water is collected from water bearing strata, that is bottom below the groundwater table, that is the bottom below the groundwater table, water below the groundwater table. And in these wells, water from lower strata slowly accumulates. And in these wells, water from lower strata, water from lower strata slowly accumulates. Slowly accumulates. And water from these wells, water from these wells is usually lifted for irrigation. Water from these wells is usually lifted for irrigations. For irrigation purpose. By mechanical means, by mechanical means, such as bullock operated devices, such as bullock operated devices, such as bullock operated devices. And now the next topic that we are going to study about is river lift system. Now what is river lift system? We are going to study that. We have studied about canals, we have studied about tanks and wells also. Now what are river lift system? It is used in the area where either canal flow is inefficient. It is used in the area where either canal flow is inefficient, where either canal flow is inefficient or irregular due to insufficient reservoir, or irregular due to insufficient reservoir, due to insufficient reservoir water release, water release. And in this system water is directly drawn from the rivers. Water is directly drawn from the rivers. Using pumps, the water is drawn from rivers using pumps in order to supplement irrigation, in order to supplement irrigation in the areas adjoining rivers. In the areas adjoining rivers. Now, the next topic that we are going to talk about is sprinkler irrigation system. Now, what is sprinkler irrigation system? In it is water efficient system. We all know that irrigation is done, but in irrigation a lot of water is being wasted. Now we are going to talk about sprinkler irrigation system. It is water efficient system. It is water efficient system and is being introduced in the canal irrigated areas and is being introduced and is being introduced in the canal irrigated areas in the canal irrigated areas of Haryana, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh. And Madhya Pradesh. It is a device. There is a device having having perforated ring or small stand with a with a revolving nozzle to which a base is attached Here is a ring and a small stand to which a base is attached. And it helps in watering crop plants. And for watering crop. Now, the second point is that this system spreads water uniformly. This system spreads water uniformly over crop plants and fields. Over crop plants and fields. And the required quantity of water is supplied. And the required quantity of water and the required quantity of water is supplied. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is drip irrigation. Now we have studied about sprinkler irrigation system. Now what is drip irrigation? Drip irrigation, it is a modern system that is being encouraged. It is a modern system and it is being encouraged and it is being encouraged in Maharashtra, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, and Tamil Nadu for fruit crops, and it is for fruit crops only. For fruit crops. Now, here, fer- fertigation is an innovative method. Fertigation is an innovative method for applying fertilizers. It is used for applying fertilizers. Fertigation is a innovative method for applying fertilizers through drip irrigation. Through drip irrigation to maximize farm productivity with available water. To maximize farm productivity with available water. With available water. Now, the next topic that we are going to look at is mixed cropping. Now, what is mixed cropping? It is we are going to talk about the cropping patterns now. And mixed cropping, it is a practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously. It is a practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously. It is a practice of growing two or more crops simultaneously on the same piece of land. On the same piece of land. When two or more crops are grown simultaneously on the same land, then it is called as mixed cropping, and different crops to be grown are selected. And different crops to be grown are selected and in such a way that products and waste in such a way that product and waste of one crop can stimulate the growth of other crop. Of one crop can stimulate the growth, can stimulate the growth, the growth of other crop, of other crop. Now, the combinations for mixed farming can be growing wheat crop, growing wheat crop with gram. The next combination can be growing cotton crop with groundnut. Cotton crop with groundnut. The third can be growing ragi with gram. Growing ragi with gram. Now these are the some of the mixed cropping examples. And now the next topic that we are going to look at is intercropping. Now we have seen what is mixed cropping. Now intercropping is improved version of traditional mixed cropping. It is the improved version of traditional mixed cropping. It is the improved version of traditional mixed cropping in which two or more crops are growing simultaneously, in which two or more crops are growing simultaneously in the same field in a definite row pattern. In the same field, in the same field in a definite row pattern. In a definite row pattern. Now, the criteria to accomplish intercropping are the criteria to accomplish intercropping are the very first one should be spatial arrangement should be there. Spatial arrangement should be there. The second one is plant density should be high. The third is maturity dates of crops. It is very important that when the crops is going to mature, so maturity dates of crops. And the fourth one is plant architecture. The fourth one is plant architecture. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is types of intercropping. Now, what are the types of intercropping? The very first type is row intercropping. The very first one is row intercropping. And in this, it is the intercropping of all crop combinations of mixed cropping are used in definite row pattern, are used in definite row pattern. And the definite row pattern can be 1:1, 2:2, or 3:3, like this. Now the second one is strip cropping or strip intercropping. Now in strip intercropping, growing two or more crops simultaneously, growing two or more crops simultaneously in strips wide enough, in strips that are wide enough to permit separate crop production. To permit, the strip should be wide enough to permit separate crop production. Separate crop production. Now, the next topic that we are going to study about is crop rotation. Now, what is crop rotation? In crop rotation, it is a practice of growing different crops on a same piece of land. It is a practice of growing different crops. It is a practice of growing different crops on the on a piece of land in a pre-planned succession. On a piece of land in a pre-planned succession. In a pre-planned succession. Now, what happens in what are the benefits of crop rotation? The benefits of crop rotation is the very first benefit is that all crops do not require the plant nutrients. All crops do not require plant nutrients in the same proportion. In the same proportion. By growing crops in rotation, the fertility of the soil is utilized more evenly. Now, if we grow the crops in rotation, by growing crops in rotation, the soil fertility is utilized more evenly. The soil fertility is utilized more evenly, and thus the soil is not depleted in a particular nutrient. Now we are going to talk about the benefits of crop rotation. The other benefits of crop rotation is, the second is, when different crops are grown, when different crops are grown, the operations concerned with the preparation of the soil, the operations concerned with the preparation of soil, with the preparation of soil, that is manuring, sowing, that is manuring, sowing, harvesting, are spread throughout the year, are spread throughout the year, throughout the year, and thereby reducing the work pressure, and thereby reducing the work pressure at a time, and thereby reducing the work pressure at a time. Now, the third benefit of a crop rotation is that the incidence of weeds, pests, and diseases is reduced. The incidences, the incidence of weeds, pests, and diseases is reduced. Now, with this, we are going to end the lecture here only, and thank you everyone.